Hey everyone, it's Mark. It's been a long time here on Patreon. I'm glad that you're checking out this video. It's, in a lot of respects, the most important video that I've shot maybe in forever, but certainly in a long time because I'm talking specifically to all of you and talking about the history of, and more importantly, the days going forward for MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. Without vision, the people perish. That's a quote from the Bible. That just came to mind. Basically, you need vision, you need a purpose, you need goals, otherwise you're going to die. I definitely have a vision for this platform. I would like it to become one day, maybe not the biggest, but certainly considered the best college football platform for discussion, debate, and analysis anywhere. I think at times we achieve that. I think there are days in which a combination of the call-in shows, the other live streams, the content that I produce, with my own analysis, and then with the analysis of the various bloggers and broadcasters that I bring on, and that we produce top-notch college football content. Not all the time. We don't hit it each and every day, but we are working toward that goal to provide the very best in discussion, debate, and analysis of the game that we all love. I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to make this sustainable and to make it prosperous as a platform. So many of you know that I have a full-time job, that I do not do this full-time, that I have a full-time job. I've been in the television industry for now 29 years, going all the way back to 1991 in various ways. And we can maybe get into that some other time. But I currently work at ESPN as a production operations manager and have since the year 2001. So this is a side hustle. So for those people that call it a hobby, it's not a hobby. This is definitely not a hobby. I'm working way too hard for this to be a hobby. At the same time, is it a business? Well, technically it's a business. I've got to file it with the IRS, but it's not been a business in the true sense that it sustains me or that it, let's put it this way. From the time that I started this channel on YouTube for college football content, initially just thinking sports, and then it quickly was determined by me that there was no way I could cover all of sports. And I think many of you would agree that it's impossible for me as one man to cover all of college football. I do my best. And that's one of the reasons why I bring on all these bloggers and broadcasters to serve the role as guests, experts for their particular team. So anyway, I launched my YouTube channel back in 2010, and I talked a little baseball, a little NFL, in addition to college football, but quickly came to the determination that I wanted to focus on college football, that the entire sports landscape was way too much to take on. And again, even college football is a daunting task for one individual. What I see ultimately, and I don't know that we're going to get to this place, and if we don't, we can certainly be a success even without getting to this place. But this is what I have envisioned in the past. Kind of an SB Nation of video. So SB Nation has thrived on the concept that they have one major site. Let's take college football. One major site, and then all the individual conferences broken down into subsites, and then the individual teams broken down into subsites. And you can click on any one of those subsites and go to the Miami site, the Clemson site, the Ohio State site, the Oregon State site, and there's your site, there's your team. And me being only one guy would of course launch this, but that I would bring on so many guests and so many contributors that would fall in line and specialize on their individual teams that I could that I could populate content to where you, the fan of Minnesota, could either just lock in on a particular individual or your particular Minnesota site under the Mark Rogers TV Voice of College Football overarching banner and find what you're looking for. And that kind of would be where we would ultimately head. But when you really think about that, the scope of that is daunting. We can accomplish that to a smaller degree and much more successful by focusing again on college football. And many people ask me, and I just had a Clemson fan ask me today, why don't you cover Clemson more? And I reiterated to him something that I've said many times in outlining to various people why I cover the teams that I cover. It's very simple. So my first purpose in mind is to cover college football, the totality of college football, not taking any particular team to be better or more important than anybody else to start. But of course, some teams are more important than others because Ohio State wins more than Kansas State and is more prominent with a larger fan base and all those things, so that the landscape of college football and the wins and losses and the championships would decide for me, who do I cover? Of course, you cover the bigger games, the bigger teams, the better teams. In addition to that, typically the better teams are the more popular teams, so that would make sense. If Oklahoma is the best program in the Big 12 and I produce Oklahoma content constantly, but nobody watches it, well, at some point I'm either going to determine, Mark, you're wasting your time covering Oklahoma because nobody's watching, or Mark, stay with it and do what you can to bring in that Oklahoma audience. They're out there, you got to bring them in. But basically, wins and losses and championships determine whom I cover. The popularity of that particular team determines how much they're on. And then on top of that would be the availability and the response of the bloggers and broadcasters that I reach out to have on a regular basis. So for example, we have a relationship with Cam Underwood from State of the U, and he does an amazing job in covering Miami football, so we bring him on a regular basis. If I had a contact like Cam Underwood for fill in the blank, LSU, Wisconsin, Clemson, then I would have them on a regular basis, and we would cover LSU, Wisconsin, and Clemson just as much as Miami or Ohio State. I have no preference toward these teams. Many times it's funny because somebody will say, you love Miami. No, I just have a Miami following, and I have great guests like Cam Underwood and the Wholesome One, and in the past, Alonzo1219. That's all there is to it. I've got a tremendous panel of writers with Steve Hellwagon, Kevin Noon, and Tony Gerdeman to talk Ohio State football once a week. So we talk Ohio State football. It has hit me at times that I've relied upon guests maybe too much. Most of you seem to enjoy the analysis that I bring, and I got to pull myself back at times because I launched this channel just based on my analysis. And I went for, let's say, 3.5 years of just talking college football myself. And so if it was the Michigan-Wisconsin game that Saturday, I brushed up on Wisconsin and Michigan. I didn't bring on the Wisconsin and Michigan bloggers. I talked Wisconsin and Michigan myself. And you guys seem to be very satisfied with that. But I wanted to go to the source for two reasons. I wanted to go to the experts to build the credibility of the channel, to bring in top flight analysis beyond what I could possibly gather. I'm one guy. I can't be an expert on everyone. But on top of that I would gain the influence and bring in different viewers based on those beat writers for those particular teams, bringing in their social media influence and their sphere of influence and bringing in those different followers and fans and building the site that way. All right. I may be jumping all over the place. That's because I just wanted to talk to you about what we're doing here. And I wanted to thank you more than anything. So I'm talking to 12 people right now. So this is going to be the least watched video that I've shot in forever. And hopefully the least watched for the rest of time. But I said it off the top. In many ways, it's the most important because you guys are my core. I appreciate when I think about what loyalty and support and faith you've placed in me by supporting me here on Patreon with nothing in return. So I have had all sorts of goals and ambitions and plans for this Patreon platform. And I have fulfilled what I have set out to do. So I launched this, I believe, last March. So it's been a year that we've started our Patreon page. And I said, number one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post my predictions right here exclusively. And nobody else is going to get my predictions but you, the voice of college football community here on Patreon. And I did that last college football season. Well, college football season's 15 weeks plus bowls and playoffs, postseason play. So it's about 20 weeks out of 52. So what's the benefit in Patreon? The other 32 weeks. Well, my pledge from the start was, and this came from feedback from you and others in determining how this would grow on Patreon, was that I asked, okay, what should I do on here to make it special, to make it unique, to make it exclusive? And a lot of you answered. We received this answer more than any other. Mark, what you need to do is bring us exclusive live streams on Patreon. So that's my offer. That's out there. I'm not going to produce a live stream here on Patreon that nobody's going to watch. So what I have offered, and hopefully all of you understand this because I remind you from time to time that there's an offer out there for all of you here at the Voice of College Football community on Patreon, that I will produce one exclusive live stream per week if you request it and want to come on. So much like the bloggers and broadcasters that you see on my live streams and other records on YouTube, I just foresee and envision this tremendous live stream that we would do once a week where I would bring you guys on 1, 2, 3 at a time, and we would talk college football and just kick around college football. And it would just be awesome. So that's what I've offered. I've had 2, maybe 3 different people take me up on it, but it's been a long time. And I just want to remind you that that offer's out there, and that's the main bonus, the main incentive to be here on Patreon. But I believe this being just a core of 12 right now, and it needs to become dozens and hundreds and eventually maybe even thousands to be sustainable. But you 12 are on here not because you're gaining anything from being on Patreon following me here. So I thank you, because basically what you're telling me, and a number of you have told me directly, so I know this, Mark, you don't need to give us anything here. We're just supporting you. We are contributing the $5 a month just to support what you do and show our appreciation for what you provide on YouTube, which is generally anywhere from 110 to 150 videos per month. Think about that. 110 to 150 videos per month, which leads me to, it's been recommended to me, and I've also done some research, that I probably produce too much content on YouTube. So that may change, maybe down to 1 video per day. Some people would tell me that I'm actually sabotaging myself by producing too much content on YouTube. So I wanted to get to my 2020 priorities. Number one is the call-in process. So I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know why this is not working. But I purchased this Behringer audio mixer that is supposed to be top flight. I have hooked it up with the direction and instruction coming from my main operations guy, Marty McPadden, and it's just not worked. It has just not worked. So for those of you who watch the call-in show, I've purchased an app called Phone Burner that costs $5 a month. So one of you are paying for that, $5 a month, to receive the calls in, so nobody is giving away their phone number and I'm not giving away my phone number. So that 860-325-3687 number that you see during the call-in shows, that's not my number. I can't see your number. You can't see my number. That's a phone service that filters the phone calls. But anyway, it's supposed to go through here and be professional. And we're supposed to have set this up like a professional call-in show, but I can't get it to work, and I've kind of given up on it. So what I've done in recent weeks, because I think the call-in show is vital in this, I think it's crucial that we do the call-in show correctly. And I think it's crucial that we actually do a call-in show because I might be wrong, but I believe the call-in show shows off my skill and talent and my knowledge, and I believe it's the best thing that we do are the call-in shows. And I've neglected the call-in shows, and it's the most fun thing that I do, and I believe it highlights what we do better than anything else, the call-in shows. And if I had the time and if I didn't work full time, and that's another reason why this Patreon is so important, because actually the vision and the goal, if we want to cut the chase and get to the bottom line, it's that I become self-sufficient financially and that I can quit my 9-to-5 job, which is certainly not 9 to 5, that I can quit that job and that I can do this exclusively, and then you will see a product that will be top flight. So that was our number one goal for 2020, to clean up the call-in process. Haven't gotten that accomplished. My second goal was to work on my set. So this is the set right now. I cannot really see what I'm looking at right now, so I have tried so much. So for a few of you, you may remember a few years ago that I was shooting just up against a blank wall, and that was it. And I've messed around with my set, and I'm still not happy with it. I'm still not pleased. So this is, and again, I cannot see. Let me turn this around so I can see what I'm shooting. Here we go. All right, here we go. So this is the area I have to work with right here. And I kind of like the idea. What I would like someday is to have my set just inside of a nice patio where I could have the set on a certain platform and have it inside. And then when it's nice out, I just open up the sliding doors and then I could move outside. That would be perfect. Have this set completely on like a rolling stage and just move it outside. This is called a step and repeat. The banner that you see behind me, that's called a step and repeat because it's the same setup that you see at big award shows where the talent, the movie stars will step up, get their picture taken, then they'll repeat the process over and over and over. So that's where they get that. Anyway, of course, we've got the famed helmets. We've got the college football pictures in the background, but it just doesn't quite work for me. It's getting better, but it's really not what I envisioned. The neon type signs that you see in, the neon type signs that you see in bars and restaurants, I could see something like my logo put into one of those in a large screen and put behind me. I like the thought of that. I've got a monitor over here that I have yet to use. That's only a 22-inch monitor, though. I probably need a really big monitor. So I'm really struggling with this. What to do with this? I think it's better than what it's been in the past, but it's still. I'm kind of like the person that if I go into a house, if I go into a house and I see a living room, or if I'm online and I see a living room decor, I will tell you what I like and what I don't like. I'll be able to say, I like that, I like that, I hate that, that's okay. I can do the same thing with the TV set. I can tell you what I like, but to be able to do it myself, it's brutal. To try to put this together myself, and then you got to consider that all the angles need to work too, if you follow me. So when I do an individual video, that camera angle is different than if I do an individual live stream just with myself, because the shot's different live versus recorded. And then it's different if I have a guest live or recorded. It's different if I have two guests and a three shot between the three of us, or three guests, on and on. So all the angles are different, and it's difficult to make them all look right. So I'm trying to figure that out. But that was another portion of this that I wanted to get right, is the set. And I've worked on it. And again, because you 12 in particular are the ones who contribute, I'll let you know that this baby right here costs $261. And it probably wasn't worth it. And what's unfortunate about that is I just had to kind of blindly purchase it. Right? I had to. I just had to, like, I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know how large it's going to be. Sure, I can measure it out, which I did. I got 6 feet by 4. But in terms of what it was going to look like, once the lights in my house are on it, and just I had no idea. And so I had to pay the price and then see if it worked. And I'm not crazy about it. It's okay. It might be functional. Might be okay. Justin Firm, thank you so much for the countdown clock. Justin bought this for me maybe about a year ago, sent me the money and sent me the link to the clock that he picked out so we could use this. And fortunately, we've been able to use it again in recent weeks to count down the 2020, what we hope to be the 2020 college football season. Then, of course, we've got our helmets. So the set is another thing I'm trying to work on. I'm always willing to take suggestions and recommendations. If I don't use your suggestion, understand that there's a lot of things to think about. And cost is actually the least of them. Not that I've got $50,000 to spend on a set, but I'm willing to put a little bit of money into it. But it's more about people have suggestions, but whether they work on camera is another matter. Okay. The other thing we need to talk about is revenue. All there is to it, people say, Mark, you do this because you love it. Yeah, that's why I started this, because I love college football and I love to broadcast. I'm a broadcaster at heart. That's what I trained to do in college. I was a broadcast journalism major. I was a sportscaster at 2 separate stations from 1991 to 2000 before I got my job at ESPN. So I'm a broadcaster at heart. This is what I love to do, and I love college football. So yes, I am doing this. This is a labor of love. But let's make no mistake about it. I am doing this to do this for a living. I'm not working 40 to 50 hours a week in addition to my regular job of 40 to 50 hours a week. I'm not working an additional 40 to 50 for close to 100 hours a week just to bring in $52 a month and whatever. No. We are doing this to make money, to make it sustainable, to make it a prosperous business. Let's make no mistake about it. And I know I'm not talking to the I know I'm not talking to the right people, or I'm talking to the wrong people when I make that statement, because you guys get it because you're contributing. And that's sometimes what I don't get. I understand having an opinion or having a stance not to pay for content in one way or another. There's no reason to pay for content. But at the same time, if you really value what we do, and I know you guys do, so I'm preaching to the choir, that, man, I sometimes think I've got 19,000 subscribers on my main channel on YouTube. 19,000 subscribers. If all of them gave $1 a month, can you imagine? $1, a buck? Nobody would miss that. Nobody would miss that. I know there are hard times right now, especially, but nobody would miss $1 a month. And $19,000 a month would obviously pay my salary, plus would blow this out, and we would be able to purchase the type of equipment and use it to advertise and brand and market and do all the things that we need to do. YouTube is a tough nut to crack. I don't think I've ever used that phrase in my life. There's a whole complex algorithm system about YouTube and trying to become significant on YouTube. I've watched tons of videos. I've read about it. I've tried different techniques to try to increase viewership, therefore subscribers, to get people to like the videos, which is key. Comment. The super chats are a way to help, obviously. And even better than the super chats would be people that would contribute directly to me on Venmo and PayPal. I'm at MarkRogersTV on those two. I'm going through just a bunch of notes that I've taken over the past several months. Yeah, there's just so much to this. There's just so much to this to try to. I need to be utilizing Instagram and Facebook, Reddit, and a lot of other platforms to promote this. Over the past 7 weeks, I have produced an audio podcast which airs on Monday mornings. It's only one per week. So what I used to do is I used to strip the audio from the various videos that you see on the YouTube channel and throw those out on Podbean, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. And then I hooked up with these people at CLNS Media, and they have advised me to produce just one audio podcast per week and basically make that just a tease. So I have formed a theme each Monday morning, and I produced an audio podcast that might center around Ohio State and Michigan recruiting one week, or ACC quarterbacks the next week, or whatever the topic I choose, that are bits and pieces from the videos that we produced that week on YouTube. And then I put that together and basically try to drive people from those audio platforms to the YouTube channel. The Amazon link that's in the description section of all the videos, I just think, again, man, I got 19,000 subscribers. I know not all those people watch my videos on a regular basis. That's obvious from the number of views that I get or don't get. But if 10%, 2,000 of those people would on a regular basis use that Amazon link to do their Amazon shopping, that would help just tremendously. There are a lot of ways to do this, and there are a lot of ways to create revenue. I need a sponsorship, I need advertising, I need all this stuff that I really don't have the time nor the expertise to go out and get. And that leads me to another issue, is that I should be acting and conducting myself more as a businessman and getting away from producing so much content. I'm killing myself producing so much content, but that's what I love to do, and I love to cover college football rather than pull back there and start to really grind in on marketing, branding, business strategy. And if any of you have any suggestions or recommendations or connections with anyone who does about YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, marketing, branding, any of that, let me know. Please let me know. Okay. All right. Was there anything else that I wanted to let you guys in on? I have thought of so many different content topics that I would like to hit on a regular basis. My 1 through 130 rankings, my way too early top 25 for 2020, transfer portal, spring previews. Obviously, that's already come and gone and didn't even matter anyway this year. The NFL draft, we've hit that a ton. This is something that, again, confounds me. I don't know what's going on. When I had probably 100 subscribers, there was a couple NFL draft seasons when I produced NFL draft videos and I had 100 subscribers, and those videos would do thousands of views. This past week, I've been producing NFL draft previews. I have almost 20,000 subscribers, and on some of these, I'm not even getting 100 views. I don't get it. I don't get it. Conference rankings, NFL Draft Combine, again, that's in the past. I wanted to do a series looking at recruiting rankings versus the results on the field to see the big aberrations there. The programs that outproduce their recruiting rankings and then the ones that underperform. Compare preseason and postseason rankings. I did that and produced a series looking at preseason rankings versus postseason rankings from 2010 through 19. Hopefully you caught that. Best games of 2019, I produced my top 10 non-conference games for this year. I would like to do better in producing instant news analysis. So it has been difficult for me to stay on top of what is the latest breaking news, which we haven't had much because of COVID-19, but typically there's stuff going on. Georgia signs a series with Texas. So-and-so fires their defensive coordinator. So-and-so gets suspended. So-and-so gets hurt. I want to be able to produce a reaction video to major events in college football, late-breaking news stories. I'm not going to be the one to break the stories. That doesn't make any sense for me to try to do that. Other people do that. But I want to be better at providing instant analysis on a regular basis. Call-in shows. We've got the Ohio State, Miami, and Florida State weekly live streams. I would love to add another. I don't know who that should be. I've kicked it around to Clemson. Who else? Alabama, Auburn. Oh, who else? USC, Notre Dame. A few others. UCLA. Oh, and some other ones that I can't remember. Why can't I? But it doesn't matter. So I've kicked it around to some other teams, but I don't know who that next team should be. All-time program rankings, recruiting profiles, position rankings, schedule rankings, conference rankings, position rankings, coaches rankings. a schedule fix, which I've done in the past, best games, etc., etc. My conference realignment videos are coming out soon. I have taken so many ebooks. So again, if I was doing this on a full-time basis, I would want to write at minimum a college football preview each and every off season for the next season. I should be producing an ebook. That would be another revenue stream. I would love to do a film study. I thought about this the other night. I saw that the Georgia-Florida game from last year was on TV. I DVR'd it. I was going to do a live call-in show and have my TV running with the Georgia-Florida game behind me, bring on a Georgia guy and a Florida guy or gal, and bring them on, and we talk about last year's game, and more importantly, talk about the future of the two programs and them competing for the SEC Eastern Division Championship. I think that would be fun. As I think about all the video content that I produce that would appeal to me as a just hardcore, crazy, stupid college football fan, but obviously does not appeal to the masses, like talking about the Iowa linebacking core. Nobody cares about that unless I could bring in a ton of Hawkeye fans. I think it comes down to me producing three kinds of videos or content. Number one is me laying down the law, giving my opinion, telling people the way it is, laying down my analysis, whether that be recorded or through a call-in show. Both. Number two, debate topics. Either myself versus somebody else or two competing rival beat writers. Debate. People love debate. My channel's founded on debate, but we haven't delivered enough of it, apparently. And then number three is kind of in that realm of I think we need to have more fun, be funnier, be more, I can tell stories. I've got stories to tell, be more engaging in regards to storytelling and having fun. So hard-hitting opinion from me, debate, and then just fun, interesting storytelling, having a good time with it, entertainment. I think I need to latch on to those three initiatives, those three content types. So all in all, I have all of that and much more running through my mind that we are figuring out. We give it all to the Lord, and we ask that you continue to support us here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. And remember, as a Patreon member, here you have that exclusive live stream that we can produce each and every week. Just make it by request. That's our offer each week, and then we'll have our predictions here exclusively right here. But this Patreon deal needs to work, and you 12 have been amazing. But I really thought after 1 year that I might have 150 people on Patreon. If I have 1% of my 19,000 on YouTube moved over to Patreon, then I've got 190 patrons in our Voice of College Football community. But that just has not succeeded. And I just have not been able to give it the time and attention that I need to. But again, I appreciate that some of you are here just simply to say, thank you, Mark. So I say thank you, your support, your trust, your loyalty. I can never begin to explain how much it means to me. So thank you so much. And again, I apologize if this wasn't necessarily organized. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and feelings about where we stand and what I would like to do in the future, in the very near future. And again, as soon as I click this off and end this recording, I'm going to think of 18 other things that I failed to mention. But we can always shoot another one of these. And I just want to, again, as a small gesture of my thanks, give you an inside look, some insight into what my thoughts and plans are. And I wrestle with the thought of releasing this on our YouTube channel just to get people more involved, engaged, and want to jump on over to Patreon. But I also feel as though I need to be loyal to all of you and keep this exclusive. So I'm wrestling with that and would certainly want your feedback on that. So I would honor your wishes that I keep this conversation exclusive between us because there's a reason that you're here on Patreon. And I just got a nice little text message. But also a reason that I would want to take this recording, post it on YouTube to get further support and engagement there. I'm always looking for suggestions and recommendations. Don't be offended if I don't take action on your recommendation or suggestion. There are a lot of reasons why, and most of the time I try to get back to those people to let them know why I haven't taken action. It's been great to talk to you, and we should do this more often. And I just want to share my thoughts and feelings and want to do it especially with you 12. Right here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. We'll see you next time. And again, would love to do this very soon. And thank you so much for your support.